Hello YouTube! This is a continuation of the experiment of using various yeasts to make a standard show mead. Today's 71B. Starting gravity for this thing is roughly sugar is 23, ABV is 12, starting gravity is 94. This is a standard because I use the same recipe for every time I do this experiment. The recipe is, in case you are curious, 1 gallon of spring water, 4 pounds of grocery store clover honey, 1 packet of whatever the yeast is in question, and that is it. Usually I toss in an egg, but the egg is used in a very peculiar way. It's used to detect gravity, not egg white like I know some of you are thinking out there. No, this is, you take the regular egg and you put the egg in whole into the must. The reason is that you use it to determine how much the gravity is without needing the use of a hydrometer. But in this case, because it's a constant standard and I use a hydrometer, that's how I was able to give you these numbers: sugar of 23, ABV of 12, gravity 94. Now, what ends up happening is that I use the boil method. I know, don't use the boil method. I use the boil method. So after the boil method, then pitching, once temperatures drop down to pitching levels, it is pitched. It's given 1 month in the primary. It is then transferred over to a secondary for 2 months, and then racked after that. Unfortunately, I have not had a chance to get around to this particular mead in quite some time, so it is actually about 2 years old. So please take that into consideration when I compare what I have here to the notes. The notes were upon bottling, and here we go. Now, after about 2 months or so, I find with my meads they tend to clear just fine. Every once in a while, I'll throw in bentonite. If I really want to put a sparkle onto it, after the bentonite, I'll throw it into some sort of filtering system. But usually the bentonite works just fine. But for these experiments, as they clear on their own after 2 months' time. And there we go. Very pretty. According to the notes upon bottling, gravity went to 30, ABV went to 4, sugar went to 8. Leaving an overall ABV of 8%. So that's not too bad. Oops, get a little crazy there. It does not tear up. It doesn't really hold to the side of the glass at all. Oh, that's nice. Alright, the look here, according to my notes, is dark yellow, very clear. Slight tearing on the glass, water-like. Yes, I would have to say almost no tearing at all. Very water-like. Smell, very light, fruity. Headed by lemon, white wine undertones. And it's a little bit of dry, which is strange, considering this is a semi-dry mead. Very fruity. It's a lemon, it's of orange. Yes. That's one part I forgot to say about the recipe. Usually I throw in 1 orange. It's divided up, quartered, crushed, thrown in. Rind and all. That ends up adding the yeast nutrient in a very old-fashioned way. Like I said, the recipe is medieval to Renaissance time period. That's why the egg, that's why the orange for yeast nutrient, that sort of thing. And it does have a white wine smell to it. Not a dry, a white wine smell. It's faint, but it's there. Yeah, white wine undertone. Taste says here at the time of bottling, fruity with hints of orange and lemon, tempered by faint honey, faint white wine background with a slight bitter in the end. Mouthfeel is slightly syrupy. Full tasting. Well, it's remained the same. Excuse me. Very light mouthfeel. A little bit of lemon, a little bit of orange. There is I don't want to call it a dry bitter to it, but kind of a white wine bitter to it. And it's very strange. It does get a little heavy with that bitterness in the back of the palate. Short hang time. Hints of honey all the way through it. Kind of giving it a candy lemon and a candy orange. But definitely a white wine background. Overall, upon bottling, good color and taste, should age well. Soft scent makes it deceptive. Well, this is about 2 years old, and it did not age well, as in it stayed the same, approximately. Might have softened a hair, but not by much. Notes on day of bottling is about the same as it is in the glass 2 years later. So there you go. This is 71B, used to make a standard show mead. Not bad. I don't think it'll replace the current yeast that I use for different recipes, but maybe it's a good fallback. Well, there you go, guys, and there are more experiments coming up, and as always, keep on drinking.